Jay-Z is suddenly the focus of federal inquiry after fans went into a frenzy over explosive online claims concerning Nicki Minaj. There were only rumors, threats of legal action, and one statement that caused people to stop reading and begin making connections. No charges were made public or confirmations given. As for the juicy specifics, let's get started. Betrayal, loyalty, and money. We must go back a long distance since the current situation between Nicki Minaj and Jay-Z did not just happen overnight. This is before we even discuss the chaos that has been taking place in 2026. This thing is deeply rooted. Furthermore, you won't completely understand why this scenario has reached its current state if you don't know where it all began. Let's begin at the very beginning, then. You see, Nicki Minaj used to adore and respect Jay-Z unconditionally. She admired him. She was impressed by him. For everyone to hear, she shouted it aloud on camera. Business-minded. She recognized that in him. When she looked at Jay-Z, she saw a man who had figured out how to make songs into real estate, turn bars into billions, and create something that would endure well beyond just music. And for a while, it appeared that Nicki wished to follow in his footsteps. Because Jay-Z didn't create his streaming service, Tidal, by himself in 2015, Nicki Minaj was among the group of the world's biggest artists he invited to become partners, stakeholders, and shareholders in the business. This is the point at when things begin to fall apart. Reports state that Nicki received about 3% of Tidal's ownership. Furthermore, she didn't simply sit on that stake. She advertised the platform. More than almost any other player on the team, she promoted it to her millions and millions of Barb's supporters. She claims that, aside from Beyoncé herself, she promoted Tidal more than anyone else. She supported Jay-Z's vision with her name, brand, and reputation. She had faith in it. Jay-Z then sold Tidal to Jack Dorsey Square in 2021 for about $300 million. Additionally, Nicki Minaj claims that she received hardly nothing. She claims that she was given $1 million, and that was meant to be the end of it. But that wasn't acceptable to Nicki. She has repeatedly said in public that Jay-Z owes her between $100 million and $200 million. Does that figure add up now? When Wack 100 discussed the entire matter with DJ Vlad, he really took the time to perform the math, and his analysis was quite enlightening. Thus, when the data are truly broken down, too, even before dilution, 5 of a $300 million sale is roughly $5 million. And that number decreases even further following dilution from new investors entering the market. It is far from $200 million. Here's what folks need to realize, though. This was never just about the money for Nicki. It had to do with what the money stood for. She felt taken advantage of. She believed that she risked everything for Jay-Z's streaming service. She was given a pat on the back and shown the door when it was time to cash out. Additionally, Nicki has accused Jay-Z of obstructing her documentary in 2018. Thus, the Tidal incident was only one part of a much larger narrative. She intended to talk candidly about the abuse she claims she experienced while dating Meek Mill, who was signed to Jay-Z's Roc Nation, in a documentary. Nicki's camp claims that Jay-Z instructed her not to make it public. And she listened since she respected him at the time. She refrained. However, in the midst of Megan's public feud with Nicki, Roc Nation signed Megan Thee Stallion after she had demonstrated such loyalty. After that, there were attempts to reach Doja Cat. Then there were rumors that Nicki and her fans were being contacted by Cardi B. This seemed like a pattern, a conscious attempt to replace her. However, Wack 100 brought up an issue that many people were considering. He observed how many people there were. When Nicki was pursuing, she said something that caused people to pause and reflect. And that is, in fact, the central question here. Is Nicki Minaj actually revealing something? Is there actual corruption and manipulation occurring at the top echelons of the music industry? Or is there another factor at play? Because of what transpired next, this whole situation reached a whole new level. While discussing Nicki's tweets regarding Jay-Z, the host of The Breakfast Club made a subtle observation that many onlookers have been making. The issue that keeps coming up in this whole feud is that why hasn't Nicki filed a lawsuit if the money is indeed owed and the contracts actually state what she says they do? As of February 2026, there have been no confirmed legal actions. The story would be in the documents. The truth would be exposed by the audits. However, the entire situation has transpired on social media, which is precisely what makes it so intricate. If you believed that the title money disagreement was the extent of this conflict when Nicki declared war, you were completely mistaken. Nicki Minaj increased the pressure on Jay-Z during 2025 and the second half of 2024, rather than merely maintaining it. And the Super Bowl was the event that truly ignited the internet. In September 2024, Kendrick Lamar was chosen to be the star of the 2025 Super Bowl halftime show by Jay-Z's entertainment firm, Roc Nation, which has a contract with the NFL. Now, New Orleans was hosting that year's Super Bowl. In Lil Wayne's city, where he is revered as a deity, an icon, and a living legend, everyone expected Lil Wayne to receive that call. It was predicted by Nicki Minaj. The fans anticipated it. According to some reports, Wayne himself might have anticipated the call, but it never materialized. Nicki Minaj lost it when Kendrick Lamar was chosen instead. She accused Jay-Z of purposefully preventing Wayne from attending the greatest music venue, calling him vile and repulsive on the internet. It infuriated the Barbs. Wayne's supporters were incensed. A long-simmering commercial quarrel abruptly descended into a full-scale public conflict. This was also discussed at the Breakfast Club. On air, they also read Nicki's tweets. Hip-hop was wrecked by Jay-Z. Football was wrecked by Jay-Z. Basketball was wrecked by Jay-Z. Touring was wrecked by Jay-Z. Instagram and Twitter were wrecked by Jay-Z. For one man, that's a lot of ruining. The host couldn't resist making a joke about how ridiculous it was. However, this is where the tone changed from annoyance to something far more sinister. In July 2025, Nicki took to X to accuse Jay-Z of stealing behind the scenes and being envious of her success. She charged Desiree Perez, the CEO of Roc Nation, with unethical behavior. She said she would launch education funds for her admirers and contribute the $200 million she sought from her H1 to a charity. Then, in October 2025, Nicki revealed the shocking revelation that no one had anticipated. She declared that she was perhaps retiring from music entirely and that she was dropping her highly awaited sixth studio album, which was scheduled for release in March 2026. What she said about X was devastating. "Alright, I will no longer release the album. The music is over. Jay-Z, I hope you're content now." The entire music industry was rocked by that. Everywhere, the album cancellation made news. The Economic Times, Rolling Stone, Complex, Hypebeast, and TMZ. Nicki said she refused to release songs under these terms until her contracts were renegotiated and blamed Jay-Z and Roc Nation for sabotaging her projects. She even said that because the title settlement was still pending, Roc Nation officials pleaded with her behind closed doors to tour and release new music, but she turned them down. However, and this is crucial, a few weeks later, in November 2025, Nicki began to tease the album once more, implying that it was jam-packed with hits. She mentioned having 16 tracks prepared. The damage was done, but it didn't appear like the retirement would last. The story was established. According to Nicki, Jay-Z was the bad guy who attempted to ruin her career. Many people were intrigued by Wack 100's theory regarding all of this. The idea that Jay-Z was this malevolent mastermind working behind the scenes didn't necessarily appeal to him. Something else might be happening, he thought. Then he offered an intriguing analogy. He mentioned Gucci Mane, who had a similar phase of openly criticizing everyone before going to jail, getting clean, and starting a family. One thing, though, has stayed constant throughout all of this. All of the tweets, all of the accusations, all of the turmoil. Jay-Z remained silent. There was not a single comment, tweet, interview, or public reaction. Jay-Z has never publicly addressed the feud. He has been deafeningly silent. And depending on who you ask, that quiet either indicates that he believes this is beneath him and not worth discussing, or it indicates that he is guilty and knows he cannot defend himself. However, DJ Academics brought out another aspect of Jay-Z's silence, and it's actually rather incriminating. Indeed, that is the question that sustains conspiracy ideas. Why hasn't Roc Nation's notoriously combative legal team given Nicki a cease and desist letter or filed a defamation lawsuit, if what she is saying is wholly false, utterly baseless, and fabricated? A cease and desist letter may have been received in December 2025, according to reports, but no litigation has yet to be filed. Furthermore, the fact that Nicki hasn't been targeted by a firm with the legal clout to target bloggers and tiny content producers says a lot. When Grammy night rolled along in February 2026, things went utterly ballistic. The aftermath and the Grammy eruption. Okay, so February 2026 has arrived. The greatest night in music, the Grammy Awards, is taking place. Additionally, Nicki Minaj did not attend the ceremony, despite the fact that most artists are dressing up, walking the red carpet, and celebrating their accomplishments. The most explosive post-series in the history of this dispute was about to be released by her when she was at home on X. Now, something that occurred during the actual Grammys broadcast was one of the things that triggered her. The ceremony's host, Trevor Noah, chose to make a joke about Nicki's absence, and it wasn't a kind one. As you can see, Trevor Noah was performing his duties as a host by cracking jokes and eliciting laughter. However, that is not how Nicki Minaj plays. That was something she took extremely personally. Following that, social media was inundated with posts. While covering the tweets in real time, Academics was struck by how powerful the first one he read was. She claimed that Jay-Z and those close to him sacrificed children in order to get power. She stated that until her contract was renegotiated, she would not be releasing an album. She said that Billboard was involved in sabotage, but she wasn't finished. Nicki questioned the age difference and the nature of their relationship in the 1990s by sharing old photos of a young Jay-Z and an adolescent Aaliyah. This one was actually calculated in real time by academics. Now, Nicki was targeting Jay-Z, but she was also making fun of everyone who seemed to be in her path that evening. For the Grammys joke, she targeted Trevor Noah. After Chrissy Teigen reportedly responded favorably to Trevor's joke, she went after her. In response, Nicki made a ridiculous accusation that had nothing to do with Jay-Z. Academics also noted that Chrissy Teigen seems to have canceled her Twitter account shortly after. She pursued Lizzo as well. Regarding Democrats, she made political remarks. She mentioned voter ID. She pursued George Clinton. Academics was there to campaign of describing it as he saw fit while also highlighting the aspect that the media was unwilling to discuss. The main point of Nicki's remarks was that the media reports on everything else, including every rumor and bit of gossip. However, everyone abruptly stops talking about the accusations made against Jay-Z. All of a sudden, no one wants to create a podcast on it. All of a sudden, nobody wants to write a critical essay. In the midst of all of this confusion, it's critical to take note of recent developments in the legal field, because Jay-Z was battling his own very serious legal issues while Nicki was going crazy on social media. A Jane Doe filed a legal case against Jay-Z in late 2024, claiming that he had participated in a sexual assault in 2000. Jay-Z called it a blackmail effort and denied everything. He filed a countersuit against Tony Busby, the lawyer, alleging slander and extortion. In February 2025, the lawsuit was finally voluntarily terminated by the Jane Doe. However, Jay-Z later sued her in Alabama for defamation, alleging that the entire situation was a malicious conspiracy that cost him $20 million in lost revenue. Busby, meantime, immediately filed a lawsuit against Roc Nation, alleging that the company had encouraged his clients to bring baseless claims against his company. Additionally, in July 2025, a judge dismissed Jay-Z's extortion lawsuit against Busby. Nevertheless, Jay-Z filed an appeal. At the same time that Nicki Minaj is going viral on social media, Jay-Z is battling legal issues on several fronts, and Beyoncé has said nothing at all during it all. She has not addressed any of Nicki's charges. The conspiracy claims have not been addressed by her. In fact, Nicki has made it clear that she has a fight with Jay-Z, not Beyoncé. However, that hasn't stopped Beyoncé from being brought into it by the internet. In any case, there are currently no indications that this situation will slow down. Nicki continues to post. Jay-Z has yet to speak. There have been no lawsuits brought against either party. Furthermore, the question is still the same as it has always been. What is merely noise and what is true? According to Nicki, Jay-Z has been undermining her career and owes her hundreds of millions. Jay-Z's team remains silent. Their monarch is being persecuted, according to the Barbs. This is all marketing, according to the critics. On our phone screens, The rest of us are simply watching the most combustible dispute in hip-hop history unfold in real time. I appreciate you watching. To view more videos like this one, click on one of the boxes that is currently playing on your screen.